house stood at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, its windows dark and its walls harboring secrets. The neighborhood was a patchwork of lives, families, retirees, and young professionals. But on this fateful night, the illusion of safety shattered like glass. The Harrisons, a middle-aged couple, had just settled into bed. Their dog lay at the foot of their bed, ears perked, sensing something amiss. The clock read 3:47 a.m., and the world outside was silent. And then it began. The soft creak of the back door. Mr. Harrison stirred and half asleep, dismissing it as the wind. Max growled, a low, guttural warning. The intruders slipped inside, their footsteps silent. They wore masks that distorted their faces of evil. Their eyes gleamed with hostility. Their hands gripped weapons, knives, hammers, and duct tape. The Harrisons awoke to the nightmare. The bedroom door swung open and slammed against the wall as the light flickered on. There they stood, the killers, faceless and relentless. Their leader, a man with eyes like shards of ice. "Cooperate, and you might survive," he said, his voice devoid of mercy. They bound Mr. Harrison's hands with zip ties, the plastic biting into his skin. Mrs. Harrison trembled, her breaths shallow. Max barked, futile against the impending horror. He charged them as the leader caved the dog's skull in with one swing of the hammer in his hand. The Harrisons sat in total silence, horrified by the violent act they had just witnessed on their beloved Max. The killers didn't demand money. It was never about a robbery. It was about power, the thrill of breaking into homes, violating sanctuaries, and watching the light fade from innocent eyes. They forced the Harrisons downstairs, the hallway carpet rough against their bare feet. The living room was a painting of terror. The overturned furniture, the shattered vase. The leader gestured to the family photos on the mantel. "Tell us about your children, your most precious memories." Mrs. Harrison's tears blurred her vision. She spoke of soccer practice, piano lessons, and bedtime stories. The killers listened, calculating, their masks concealing twisted smiles. They took turns tormenting the couple, forcing them to watch as they ransacked drawers, shattered heirlooms, and defiled memories. The Harrisons clung to each other, their love a fragile shield against the darkness, and then they heard it, the distant wail of sirens. The killers froze, panic in their eyes. They had overstayed their welcome. The police were coming. The leader leaned close to Mrs. Harrison. "One last thing. Your daughter's room." They dragged her upstairs by her hair, the hallway narrowing, the walls closing in. The door to their daughter's room stood ajar. The killers pushed it open, revealing the pink walls, the stuffed animals covered in blood, and the innocence that had been shattered forever. Mrs. Harrison screamed, a primal cry that echoed through the house. The killers fled, leaving chaos in their wake. The police arrived, guns drawn, but it was too late. The Harrisons were broken irreparably. In the aftermath, the neighborhood rallied, the cul-de-sac now a fortress of locked doors and watchful eyes. But the Harrisons would never be the same. Their home was no longer a sanctuary, and as the sun rose, casting shadows on the blood-stained carpet of their daughter's bedroom, they clung to each other, the survivors of a night they would never forget. This is a reminder to cherish every day, as there are monsters in this world that thrive in others' suffering. You are no exception.